Hey, here we are, number 63, Abuelo and the Nieto. Here's the Abuelo in Miami, over there in New York, the Nieto. We talk Miami sports, and this podcast is presented by Balado Tires, two locations in Miami here to serve you better. Tyler, number 63.
Yeah, we always go with a player, but for the first time we got a special. We decided to mix it up a little bit. You kind of threw a curveball. Not a lot of 63s in South Florida sports history. So what'd you cook up this week?
Number 63 is the wins that Mr. Darren Erickson got with Miami during his years with the Canes, 63-9, and that is the highest winning percentage in UN history. He won two titles with the Canes, so that is number 63.
Yes, Mike McDaniel. He doesn't look like Dennis Erickson yet, but the Dolphins are. They're playing a little bit better. Especially on the defensive side of the ball. They seem to be figuring it out. Especially a pretty dramatic turn from being almost the worst defense in the NFL, definitely one of the worst, especially against the pass. And, they weren't really getting, a lot of pass rush either, struggling to make tackles early in the season. Just, very simple things that they were just, not getting done, a real weakness to the team. But, I mean, like I said, it seems like a full resurgence at this point. These past few weeks have been very encouraging. Especially I'm not sure what Anthony Weaver's done. You've been out there at each game, so what does it look like to you?
Well, 4-1 in the last five games,
Yeah.
and you look at the numbers, Tyler, 213 yards versus the Falcons. They took away Cook in the Buffalo game, the number one rushing offense in the league. Allen was not really a great factor. He got some yardage over the air, but they had three turnovers. I think one of the keys have been the fact that they have started creating turnovers, and that is very important. And some of the young players has they have started to play at a higher level. I'm talking about the number one pick, Grant, and the other defensive tackle that they got later on in the draft, and of course, Marshall, the corner.
Yeah.
So that has made a difference. And Jordan Brooks, he's playing at a very high level. I'm talking about all pro level.
Yeah.
Brooks, he had a tremendous game. Every
Yeah.
game is all over the place, right?
Well, yeah, there was a point of the season. I'm not sure if he still is, but there was a point in the season where he was the NFL's leading tackler. And actually, Marshall, interestingly enough, he was voted to the All Rookie team for Week 11 last week. He had a very high grade in coverage, so he was voted as the best rookie cornerback from last week, which is definitely encouraging signs of development. That pass defense, that defensive backfield was an area of concern heading into the year. So to have a young guy that you got kind of late in the draft, maybe a steal, it seems like. And another thing about this team that has concerned me as a fan and as a fantasy football owner, Achan, I mean, he's a great player. I understand the urge to, feed him as much as you can, but the guy's like my size and you're giving him the ball every single play. It seems like you're running it or you're throwing him these swing passes. I almost brace myself, towards the end of the game when once he's got his 25th touch of the game, it's like, he's only human. At some point, I don't want to jinx it, but the wheels are going to fall off eventually if you keep hammering this home. So, I wanted to know what you think about that. It's benefiting my fantasy team. I'm getting all the points from it. But, just as a fan of the team, wanting to see this guy around for a while, it concerns me.
Yeah, the wear and tear, Tyler, really scares you. He got hurt a little bit last game versus the Commanders there at the latter end of the game. Then he came back in the overtime. But, that's why you have Gordon. But Gordon is more of a power back. He's a guy that there's some question marks regarding McDaniels, the way that he used him at the end of the game. Maybe he should have been running there. And there's some question marks there. But I think they need another back, the type of Chan that will give them a little break because when Gordon is in there, 95% of the time they're going to run the ball, right? So they need another guy. Jalen Wright might be that guy, but he has to be consistent. So they need another guy that gives him a break as you think of 2026. That's the way I see it. Tyler, this podcast is presented by Balado Tires, two locations here in Miami, Northwest 27th Avenue and 16th Street, and Southwest 8th Street and 67th Avenue. 63 years established here in Miami. If you're looking for tires, the place is Palado tires, they also have brake service.
Yes. So Miami Hurricanes got
Excuse
the
me.
win today. We were talking about kind of their college football playoff odds. Seems like they're in the picture. Interestingly enough, they're kind of going back and forth with Notre Dame for that spot, which they did beat Notre Dame, but you also have to consider just how much better Notre Dame has got throughout the
Sorry.
season. They came into that week one with a decent amount of injuries. CJ Carr has really come along, kind of a dual threat quarterback, but got a convincing win against Virginia Tech today. The Hurricanes, Malachi Tony, 12 catches, 146 yards, and a touchdown. So I don't know. I was kind of wondering not just what you think about their odds in the college football playoff, but that whole situation with Notre Dame, their kind of improvement throughout the season, where Miami has sort of been up and down.
Yes, I think that the committee is giving the importance to the quality of Notre Dame losses, and Notre Dame lost to ranked teams, so they take that into consideration. And then Miami loses to Louisville at home, and then they lose to SMU. SMU and Louisville not ranked at this time, but I think SMU, deserves maybe to be ranked at this time. So those are all question marks. But at the same time, I think it's a lot of the eye test. The way you look. And the way they have looked recently, Notre Dame has, looked better. That is, a fact. The schedule, Miami's is a little easier, supposedly. They play a lot of ACC teams, and those teams, in my opinion, they're higher quality than some of the credit that they are given. So, sorry. So, it is tough. It is a tough decision. Miami has been playing, you know, they play the competition that they have in front of them, and they deal with their games. But they have not been as impressive as Notre Dame has been recently, and that is why maybe they haven't ranked the way they have them right now. But Miami beat Notre Dame, so that should be maybe the deciding factor. I think next week is going to be very interesting. How Miami performs versus Pittsburgh, and also, I think Miami eventually would need some of those top, from 6 to about 12,
Yeah.
in the rankings, somebody else to lose, and then Miami can jump in. I think Miami might need that. It might not win the competition versus Notre Dame the way that the committee is ranking, are ranking the teams at this time. That's the way I'm seeing it right now. Tony, you mentioned him. He's got to be the freshman of the year, Tyler, the way that he's performing. And Carson Beck has been improving, for TDs versus, uh, Virginia Tech. But the big games, you're playing a big game. I think Pittsburgh is going to be a big game, away. He has to perform, and he has to perform at a high level. Tyler, the Miami Heat. What do we have regarding the Miami Heat?
I mean, they're looking like one of the better teams in the league. And, if you don't, I'm sure you do remember because you keep track of this stuff. I wasn't very excited about them, at the beginning of the year. I wasn't very, very limited expectations, maybe a play-in spot, sneak in as a 7 or 8 seed. But I mean, they've adapted a whole new style of play. They look good on defense as well. That offense is just lightning quick. Very, very, very different from that old school kind of grit and grind style they were playing with Jimmy Butler a few years ago. So almost a whole transformation for the team while still kind of staying true to Heat culture. A couple of questions. First of all, do you think they'll be able to kind of maintain this throughout the season? And then how do you think that dynamic changes when Tyler Hero comes back?
Yeah, that is a very interesting question. I'll start with the situation with Hero. He should be back next week. So, is he a starter? He comes off the bench. I think initially he will come off the bench, but eventually, after 2 or 3 games, he will be a starter because he's one of the top 3 or 4 players definitely in that team. So he should be a starter. So who comes out? I think obviously, they're setting things up. I think, Spolstra. He has given Larson starting minutes recently. Actually, he's been a starter recently, Larson. But Larson is not going to be a starter once Hero comes back. So I think it's obvious right now. Larson is out and Hero is in. So the starting lineup would be, uh, of course,
Mitchell.
yeah, and then you have with Powell. You go with Powell as number three. Number two is Hero. Number four is Wiggins, and number five is Adebayo. So Mitchell, of course, is your starting point guard. So they'll be a little smaller than you want to be. And then the big question would be, Tyler, would you start Ware? Because Colin Ware is the number 10 in rebounds right now in the NBA. And he's
Well,
been
that's
scoring around 18, 20 points, 12, 15 rebounds per game.
that's. I mean, if I were to be honest with you, I think this team is best off making a run and winning games with a. You got Mitchell, Powell, Wiggins, or even Wiggins or Hawkes. That can go kind of back and forth. Ware and Adebayo. I think you need Hero as that sixth man. I remember him, obviously being sixth man of the year a few years ago. Tyler Hero's best peak role, peak potential in the NBA, in my opinion, is somebody of a Manu Ginobili, Ray Allen caliber player. And I've said this to you, sitting on the couch countless times. Like when Tyler Hero stops trying to be Kobe Bryant, he's going to be a very good basketball player. He kind of has, and it might be the team giving him the role, but I think he has a misunderstanding of where his talents and skills should best be used. Um, and I say that just because he's such a ball dominant player. Whereas for a team like this, I don't think they thrive off having a particular person be ball dominant as opposed to spreading things out. I think at the end of the game, you bring him in just because he's somebody who's not afraid of the moment. He's a great shooter, obviously, but I think there should be 4 or 5 guys getting more minutes than him just based off of fit. I think Tyler Hero, if he was playing for the Washington Wizards or the Brooklyn Nets, he could be averaging 30 points a game, but you're not winning games. I think you get what I mean there.
Yeah, but Tyler, I understand what you're saying, but still, it's a guy that played very well last season with your high score. He can distribute the ball pretty well for a guy who's more of a shooting guard than a point guard, and that was his role last year. I think he will be more comfortable this year as the number two guy. So I respect your opinion, but I don't think that you give him enough credit, Mr. Tyler Hero. Now we're not gonna agree on that one. So let's get going. Let's get going because then it's gonna becomes a 40-minute podcast. So
I think they want to
we
see
want to
us
do
fight. We
30.
don't we don't fight enough on here.
Oh, we don't fight enough.
No, we
Okay,
just
all right,
we fight
all
when we're
right.
watching the games, but not not on the podcast.
Not enough. You see, I don't want any problems with my all-star Nieto. I don't want any trouble with him. I want him to be happy and stuff like that. I don't want to upset my Nieto too much. Now, as we look at, we went away from the initial question, which is at the end is the most important thing. Are the Heat able to be number four or number five in the East? I think that I was making a mistake. I made a mistake at the beginning of the season. I admit it. Right now, I think that they have a very good shot at number four, number five, because we have not, thought about enough of the teams that have gone down in the NBA because of
Yeah,
injuries and key players that they lost. And we're talking Celtics, we're talking Pacers,
Pacers.
we're
Yeah,
talking Milwaukee, and we're talking Orlando also. Number five, the fifth one, Orlando is not playing at the level that we were expecting. So right there, Miami jumps up, and they do have a shot at number four, number five, definitely, because right now they're number five, 10 and 6, and they're playing very well at home. Tyler, 7-1, and those youngsters, Tyler, that was making the big difference. Those young guys, Hackett Jr., Larson, Ware, playing at a very high level, and of course, the big difference is Mr. Powell. Mr. Powell has made a big difference. And remember, all of this is without Hero, and in some of the games recently without Adebayo that just came back. So once everybody is together, you would expect even major, better production. And this is the highest scoring team in the NBA right now offensively. And they're going to play pretty good defense. They have started playing it now in the last 3 or 4 games. I don't know if you have changed your opinion also or not.
Yeah, I have. I think. I mean, I don't. I still don't think they have a chance to actually like contend if that's the, the he's saying the truth here. But I also do think that both of us. I'll throw you in there too. You took some blame. We underestimated this team heading into the year. We underestimated, first of all, Eric Spoelstra. His ability to make something out of nothing. And I'm not calling this team nothing, but he has a good idea of kind of understanding the strengths and weaknesses of a team and catering to it. Not every team is the same, which means not every team should play under the same system. And he's shown kind of a willingness to bend and not break and change that up. And I mean, yeah, I think it's entirely possible this team sticks around as a 4 or 5 seed with, the Celtics and Indiana banged up for the rest of the year. Those are injuries that won't get solved this season. And I think the Magic will figure it out pretty soon. I think the Magic will ultimately be around the same caliber team as the Heat are. They're adding. Last year was interesting because Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero both played very well, but they were often hurt at different times, so they didn't really get to play together a lot of the time. So I think that's part of building chemistry as two very young players. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they're at least the top half of the East heading into the playoffs.
Before we forget, Inter Miami. Yes, we always like to include Inter Miami in our podcast. Messi and company this Sunday, a semifinal game in the East. So maybe they will get to the finals in the East. That will be the first time for Inter Miami. Everybody's healthy. All the top guys are healthy. So they should be able to play a good game. Are they going to win on the road? Well, that is the question. Another important information, news in this case regarding Inter Miami. They'll play the first game at their new stadium at Freedom Park, close to 37th Avenue, Northwest 12th Street in Miami. They'll play the first game April the 4th of next year versus Austin. So that'll be the first game. If you're looking for tires, Tyler, not for your bicycle over there in New York, for cars, Balado Tires, 2 locations in Miami, Northwest 27th Avenue and 16th Street, Southwest 8th Street and 67th Avenue. They have all the top brands. They have also brake service. Yes, tires. And the definition of tires is Balado Tires.
I got to
Tyler,
confront you
this
about
segment,
something.
what was that?
I got to confront you about something. Actually,
What?
we do all this inner Miami soccer nonsense. No
What do you
offense.
mean nonsense? What do you mean
And
nonsense? The
well,
number
we
one, the number one sports team in, I mean, the number one sports in the world.
we have the number one hockey team in the world, and we don't talk about them anymore. They just beat the New
Uh,
Jersey Devils.
yes,
They're on a
yeah,
2-game win
that's right.
streak. They
Well,
beat
you talk about
Vancouver.
them now. Yeah, you're right. You are right. You are right. You are right. So say something which they deserve some input into this podcast. We have mentioned them before, but not enough. I agree.
Well, Bob. I mean, like I said, the Devils are one of the best teams in hockey. They're 13-6 right now, and Bob just put on a clinic. Like it was 1-0, and the Devils have Jack Hughes, who's like one of the best young players in hockey, and they shut them out. Obviously, Panthers offense couldn't get much going, but it just took one goal from Sam Reinhart, to get the victory. So, the Panthers I think are 14-8 right now, if I'm not mistaken. No, they're 11-8. But like I said, to take down the Devils is a big deal. They were the hottest team in hockey to start the year, so we got to start giving those guys more credit.
They deserve all the credit, and they're the team that have been winning titles here in
Yes.
Miami recently. Everybody else has been a pretender, but they are winning titles, and that is what it's all about. Tyler, my favorite segment, fantasy football. What do you have?
Yes, I have an interesting pick and kind of a risky one, so I'm going to give you guys this pick, but I will advise you keep up to date with the injury report because Jalen Warren is didn't play last week and he didn't practice all week. However, he did participate in the walkthrough yesterday for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's their starting running back. But last week, Kenneth Gainwell started in his place scored 2 touchdowns, and Kenneth Gainwell is always a factor. He's the Steelers' top receiving back, so he'll get his catches, regardless of if Jalen Warren plays or not. But he was also their featured back, got over double-digit carries last week. I think like 30 points in fantasy, which is ridiculous. And Gainwell's somebody that's most likely a free agent available in your league, so I would just pick him up and then check the injury report. But if Jalen Warren isn't starting tomorrow, I would plug him in and start him. Steelers
All
got a
right.
good O-line.
We like to recognize here top Hispanic athletes. And, we have one now, which is a former star of Real Madrid. We were in Spain recently. We were there at Bernabeu. Well, he had tremendous performances throughout his career at Bernabeu with Real Madrid. Vamos a reconocer a un gran atleta hispano. Nos referimos a Sergio Ramos, de la provincia de Sevilla. Hizo su debut en la liga en el 2004, precisamente con el Sevilla, uno de los grandes defensas centrales de la historia, conocido por su liderazgo y excelente juego aéreo. Brilló con el Real Madrid desde el 2005 hasta el 2021, jugando 469 partidos, ganó 4 Champions League, 5 títulos de liga, 2 Copas del Rey con el Madrid y también la Copa Mundial con España en el 2010. También ganó 2 títulos de la Liga Francesa con el PSG, más de 145 goles en su carrera. Actualmente milita con el Monterrey de la Liga Mexicana. Uno de los grandes, Mr. Sergio Ramos. Tyler, Balado Tires, 2 locations in Miami, Northwest 27th Avenue and 16th Street, Southwest 8th Street and 67th Avenue. And they're established here 63 years. All right? If you're looking for tires, definitely Balado Tires. And we're getting to the end of the podcast, Tyler. But we have one segment that is, loved by many, including some people in the family. They like this very much. So the one coming up, Miami Sports Trivia. So what is it that you have for me today?
I was between 2 questions, and I decided to give you the harder one. Sorry.
What can I tell you, man? The Nieto always likes to, we're in a good time of the season now. We got Thanksgiving, we got, of course, the holidays, Christmas, and it should be nice to the old man,
Yeah, well, but maybe I am being nice because if you get it right, you'll look, super smart and cool to the audience.
All right. That usually does not happen, but
that's all I want, So my question for you is, for all players that have played for the Miami Heat throughout their Heat career, who has the best 3-point field goal percentage through a Heat career?
Through a Heat career, who has the highest 3-point percentage? I'm thinking of, oh my God, Grant Rice.
No, he wasn't a star player by any means.
Oh, yeah, the shooting guard. But
what about this? Is he white or is he black?
He's white.
Okay, you got
Tyler.
that counts.
What are we getting into this year? Is he brown? Is he yellow?
He can give you maybe a quarter of the points.
He's not pink. I'm pretty sure he's white. Yes. But yes. You know me, Tyler. I can see him. But what kills me is the name. That last name kills me. So I'm seeing the guy. So you give me some credit for seeing the guy. Probably not. You don't give me.
I don't know if I can. Maybe. I mean, you said he was white, so that gives you maybe 25%.
Okay, 25. Jason, I told you shooting guard.
Yeah. Right? Okay. Yeah. Well, that's easy because it's 3-pointer, but whatever.
No. It could be a point guard. It could be a shooting guard, or usually a small forward. So don't tell me that it's no. I would not accept that. Okay, you tell me because I'm not gonna have it.
This is somebody who also won the 3-point shooting contest during their time with the Heat, Jason Capono.
Yeah, Capono. Yeah. Now you tell me yes, but
was that who you were picturing?
Yes. I didn't have the number, but I had him. So okay. So now I go one that maybe you could handle. Maybe I'm not sure. Not absolutely sure. Who has the longest? Who has the longest hitting streak in Marlins history? The longest games hitting streak. So it is. I'm going to start helping you. It is an infielder. Uh, I'm going to give you. You see,
Okay,
this is
wait, no, no,
something. This
no,
is something that you don't do. You don't
no,
do
no,
this
no.
for me.
I told you he was white.
He's also a switch hitter,
Luis Castillo.
infielder, switch hitter.
Luis Castillo.
Of course, yes, you got it. Thanks to my help.
Yeah.
Luis Castillo, 2002, 35 game hitting streak. Yes, the great base stealer, great contact hitter, Mr. Luis Castillo. Tyler, we have done it again, number 63.